This is Dan Yeeman from Open City, Painted Black, and Bitter Branches, and you are listening to The New Scene.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The New Scene. I'm your host, Keith, and we are back with a very special Halloween episode of The New Scene. We have the return of Don Devore, guitarist of Frail and Ink Dagger, and he is joined by Evan Weiss of Wires on Fire and Sparks and Lilies in this exclusive interview, which gives an in-depth look into the Ink Dagger reunion shows that are happening this weekend, as well as a deep dive into all the work Don and Evan have been doing over the past decade to bring you the Ink Dagger discography reissue, which is coming your way courtesy of Trust Records. Don and Evan really paint a detailed picture of everything that had to be done to make this happen, tracking down old DAT tapes, making sure the records get properly remixed, and it's just really special to see how all the people who Ink Dagger have touched over the past few decades came together to donate their own personal collections and personal experiences to complete the book that's part of the Ink Dagger box set. That's sold out now, so hopefully you got one. This is a must-see interview, and it is coming up shortly. But first, here's how you can support The New Scene. Rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a main channel with full video episodes and a clips channel with clips from select episodes. We have shirts for sale at our store at Deathwish Inc. Pick one up. It's a great way to support the show. And you can follow us on social media at New Scene Pod. Also, don't forget to support Iodine Recordings. Milltown, Tales of Never Letting Go. This is the unreleased LP from Milltown. Have you heard Milltown? Have you heard them? This is really great post-hardcore featuring Jonah Jenkins of Only Living Witness, Brian McTernan from Be Well, Battery and Ashes, Matt Squire from Ashes. The band broke up before the songs were mixed, and these master tapes have been sitting for nearly 30 years, but they're here now, so make sure you order a copy of this vinyl today. The Stretch Armstrong Rocktober sale continues through this month. That's 25% off all Stretch Armstrong merch. Use code ROCKTOBER at checkout. For more information, head to iodinerecordings.com, sign up for the email list, and you can follow the label on Instagram at Iodine Recordings. And say hello to this month's sponsor, Evil Greed. In addition to their online store, Evil Greed offers tour merch, merch handling, and logistics services for tons of bands. They also offer merch and distribution solutions for bands and record labels in Europe and the UK. Evil Greed has a carefully selected roster of artists and labels in their online store. They offer very reasonable worldwide shipping rates specifically to the UK and the USA. All right, let's see what's going on at Evil Greed this week. We've got featured merch from Spectral Wound, Chelsea Wolf, Blood Incantation, Full of Hell, Gouge Away, new merch from Gouge Away. That's a nice looking shirt. We've got featured music from Sun, Eternity's Pillars on 12-inch vinyl, Sanguisugabog, Hideous Aftermath LP. We've got featured music from Bell Witch and Aerial Ruin. We've got the new LP from AFI, Silver Bleeds the Black Sun. Everybody's been talking about this record. Everybody's been talking about AFI. Now's your chance to pick it up. We've got a new EP from Speed called All My Angels. We've got new merch from Tribal Gaze, Hatebreed, a Perseverance t-shirt. Are you kidding me? Come on. Every week there's new music, featured music, new merch, featured merch. Head to evilgreed.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you can follow them on Instagram at evil_greed. Okay, and now we are going to speak to Don Devore and Evan Weiss. Enjoy. All right, we are here now with Don Devore and Evan Weiss. Don, welcome back to the show. Evan, welcome to your debut on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, of course.
It's very exciting to have both of you here. We've got Don back on the show because everybody knows now that the Ink Dagger 2025 order is happening. There will be 3 shows. There are vinyl represses. There is new merch. There's all kinds of exciting stuff that we're going to talk about. And Evan here has helped Don out with a lot of archiving and reunion things, which we're going to talk about. And let's go down the line. Don, how are you doing today?
Oh man, I wanted to copy you from today on because I knew you were going to ask that question, motherfucker. How are you doing today?
Me, I'm stressed because I had to do actual work stuff all day and I don't want to do it. And like right up until 3 minutes before this call.
Did you get
But
done?
but it's done and now we can be here and have fun.
Okay.
But what about you, Don?
I'm doing well. I had a birthday the other day
When?
playing gold mining. But I kind of got sick at the end of this Frail tour from last week, and like yeah, just like this cold thing. So I'm back in LA, but I'm just kind of like jamming that off. Got rid of all the facial hair, getting ready for just lots of training and getting ready for the end of October shows.
Nice. Evan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Happy to be here.
Nice. So here we are. Evan, first I want to get to know you since you're new to the show. Now, I did some research. You must have met Don. Well, first of all, did you grow up in LA?
I grew up in LA, born
Nice.
and raised.
Now, you must have met Don during the Wires on Fire / Buddy Head Records era. Am I correct?
This is correct. Don moved to LA in what 2000, early 2000s. So I met Don right around then, about 22, 23 years ago.
How did you meet him? Where?
In the club,
Yeah, in the club. I don't remember exactly when, but I was in a band
like
Wires.
the young band on Buddy Head.
Yeah, we were like the little Groms. We would play a lot with the Icarus line and all those bands of that era, and we played all the time. Like we were playing like every weekend. And then I just remember Don being around, and
We would go like amp shopping and shit though.
yeah, well, that's a
later?
little bit late. Well, around the same
How old are you,
time.
man? I don't know how long I know you.
But I have a couple memories, core memories here of meeting Don.
That's that's what I was going to ask you because I was like, there's got to be a good story of meeting Don. There just has
Yes,
to
of
be.
course. Well, but even years before I met Don, so I was probably 18 or 19 when I met Don.
Totally legal.
I was legal, barely legal. But I was already aware of Don because I was a big Ink Dagger fan from age 14 and on. So Don moves to LA and I'm like sort of I wouldn't say starstruck. I'm sort of punk struck, I'm like, fuck, it's Don Devore, And I must have met you in passing with like, the guys and probably didn't play it cool, but I remember one night in particular at El Cid. I don't know if I play it. I don't know what
This is a fresh story, by the way. I've never heard this
Yeah.
one.
And I was wasted. And I went up to you and I was like, oh, Don, I'm such a big fan. Like, I have the Mandela 7 inches. I have the Mandela 7 inches. And you're just like, cool, like you're very sweet and kind. And I remember just being like so embarrassed the next day, like, what was I doing, man? But then shortly thereafter, like the next time I saw you, it ain't no thing. Like you're just like, what's up? And I was such a sponge and thirsty for knowledge of music and gear. And I remember like, I was looking still are. And I was looking for a new amp or something. And I was like, what do I do? And Don was like, come over and we'll go look around. And
That's how you get it done, Keith.
we cruised around and shopped for amps and talked.
What's that place that's closed? The Black Market.
Black Market Music. This is the era of Black Market Music on La Cienega.
Yeah.
And we just became friends. I remember you and Joe were living on the house Kingswell, and so I remember going over, hanging out there, and yeah,
and like you were like very involved with the whole structure of those guys with the Buddy Head shit. And like you guys.
Yeah, I mean that was my life at that time for sure.
Don, you just met Evan just like that and went amp shopping with him.
Something like that, but that's an easy one though. I mean, I'm currently doing that with a bunch of jelly beans. So,
yes.
I remember another thing. This was probably maybe even before then. You were Wires on Fire. We were recording at Wet and Dry Manny's studio, and you were there with like Melissa and some other girl, and they were like, these are like older, cooler, like babes of the scene. You know, I'm like this like
I was like, Evan,
18-year-old
I'll bring her over
nerd.
to the session.
No, you were just there, like picking up something from Manny, like a mix or something, and you played. You were like, "Oh, play Manny, play them this song." Like, Buddy Head's putting this out, and you were like, it was like you stamped your approval, and I remember feeling like very cool and accomplished. Like, oh, Don thinks it's cool, and like he's with these girls, and they're like they seem to like the song, and I just remember feeling like, okay, like I'm here, I belong here, you
Yeah,
know?
a place where some people are actually just like nice,
Yeah,
regardless of how they feel,
yeah, and so that was sort of
especially the girls.
that was the beginning of my friendship with Don, I think.
Wow, yeah. So
Anything?
Don, you seem like you probably moved to LA and knew some people and just slid right in. You're hanging
Well, it was
out.
like
It's
an
like not a
objective
hard time
because
for you. Is that true?
the idea was to help Icarus Line make this Pennant Soiree record it ultimately was, which came with quite a time, and it was all over the place, and it was fun. Um, Alan Moulder mixed that one. That's a good mix. I like that record a lot.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And then but yeah, having other friends out here and whatnot, and then eventually I just wound up, after just like running around the world with them for a couple years, going to New York for like 12 years, and then LA 6 years ago or something. But I've been back, like, fortunately, like, got to run between these two dope places to work all the time, which is awesome. So I still don't know how it happens.
And before we met, actually, we were in the same room together once because
Okay, don't be weird.
I was at the last Ink and Dagger show ever
At the whiskey,
at the Whiskey in 1999.
where I gave all
However,
that equipment away at the end,
I
like
was
the high
I was
wall.
14 years old. It was a Sunday. There were like 4 or 5 bands on the bill, and I had to leave. I remember my dad walked in the Whiskey. We gotta go, and I left before you guys played. But I remember seeing you.
He hasn't 30 years ago. Still hasn't talked to his dad.
I remember. I remember that's not true. I remember you and
Oh.
I remember you and Sean being in the room and being like, there they are, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. Who did you give your equipment away to, Don? I remember reading that in some article.
Oh yeah, I couldn't use that shit anymore. Um, well, fortunately, I think well, ultimately, like, Aaron North had it got one of this guitar got back around to him, and like Alvin had the high watt and some other shit. But yeah, I don't know. I was very in tune with the drama of this in the moment, and making my sort of something I would do at the time would be like, we're out here. This served its purpose. I'm just gonna piece on it.
Yeah. That last Ink and Dagger tour, Don, we talked about some of that last time you were on the show out in California, right?
Yeah.
Were you playing any old stuff? Were you only playing new stuff? What
It's
was
so
the deal?
crazy when you watch like a video from that, because first of all, we slay pretty hard, but third of all, it's like literally like the self-titled record, like in depth. And yeah, we played a few of the older songs, but we were definitely being like little bitches and like playing this. Which is interesting because that record is sort of widely revered as like feeling incomplete or something. But we played all that shit live, and it had a different. I'm very happy with the modern the new mastering that like was just done on that for this release right now on the self-titled record. It's literally like almost. I've always was dissatisfied with the mastering originally, to the point where it's like you turn it up and it's like the annoying button instead of the volume. But it slays now, and you can like hear it properly, which is great. But yeah, we played that shit. We're very like in the highest point of our like sort of psychedelic hardcore zone. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's I've had this conversation with people, and certain people haven't heard the last record, or maybe they don't like it enough, and I'm like, no, listen. I'm like, you need to go back and you need to listen to that again now. If you really love Ink and Dagger, if you're really on the Ink and Dagger wavelength, you have to like the last record because it's just in a different stratosphere. It's like you said, Don. It's like the next level of psychedelic hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, the very last track we ever recorded on that is like the heaviest one we ever did, I think.
Yeah.
Permanent Lock Groove at the end. That everything was, yeah. What you said, I really appreciate that though, because it's irked me for years, because I swear I remember being an annoying guy like sitting in the mastering, and with this particular gentleman, I was like, oh man, this is getting fucked up, and it killed me forever. But like then. Like some things went down where it just like beat the juice out of doing anything like that. with like Sean's passing and this and that. So way later here, being able to address things like that is like really satisfying.
Who remastered the new one? Who did the remastering for the new, the last record that's coming out, the remaster?
What's Dave's company called?
Dave Cooley, Elysian Masters.
Yeah.
And Dave did a fantastic job. We sent him so much music. I mean,
And like Evan and I would just like really slave over these and getting it right to the point of madness. There was a couple times we got together, we were like,
we would have to stop listening because we would go crazy, different revisions.
Yeah.
There were a few revisions and they were all good. Like Dave did a great job, but I think both of us,
it was like within the great job, we had to really curate the particular feeling of the guitars and the particular feeling of everything that being translated perfectly to like our vibe. Because you could put all kinds of washes on it, right? But it's like a very particular thing.
You nailed it with the word feeling, because I would listen to like an early version of the remaster and I'd be like, man, this sounds great sonically, the bass is really loud, but it doesn't feel like this. It doesn't feel like the record. And someone who has listened to all the Ink and Dagger music thousands of times for the last 25 years, I was searching after this feeling, but with an updated sonic palette,
Totally.
And Dave got there. I've heard people say, just even on, right now the only track you can hear is Full Circle, but that version of Full Circle sounds incredible.
I mean, they all do, as we know, now that we've had a little space from it to slightly. Now, of course, like the first test pressings came and they were like the most, I've been involved in dozens of records, of course, and dozens of test presses. It was the worst one I've ever heard come back. It was like half the volume. It wasn't like a weird thing, like something was off as fuck. And so that was fun too.
That wasn't Dave though who cut the first version of the. We were going with we were gonna try letting the plant the first version of the
full props. We should have went with the big dog pro.
And then Dave comes in and they cut the lacquers at Elysian and it sounds incredible.
Now, Don, when you get the first test pressing back and it's half the volume and it sounds like shit, what happens? Do you have to contact them and say, we have a different guy, I want someone else?
You're totally right about asking that, because typically that's a nightmare scenario. Just so happens, I had planned this meeting at the top of the Liberty Place building in like the 60th floor. My buddy has a law office up there, and I was having meetings up there for all this Ink and Dagger stuff, just to be at the top of town, straight up. And so I had like the Trust guys there, and Evan, and some other parties involved. And they showed up. Lo and behold, they showed up. So I called up my buddy Jamie and Kurt, who were like in Palatine Village, and I knew he has like this nice system. And I was like, "Can I bring over like 10 people? Can we listen to these real quick?" We did that, put them on, and it was horrible. What a scene! Like, but to the point where I was like, "All right, well, something's fucked up." But it was but our buddy Joe Nelson from Trust was like with us, and it was so apparent that like it did all the explaining, which was a joy. But nice. It's really like you being like, no, it's fun. It was egregious though. It was something was going on.
Were they amenable to your requests? Like getting it remixed.
Well, we bounced on them with someone else cut it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like without being too nerdy, it's like the pressing plant. If you've ever seen an old record from the '80s as DMM pressing or whatever, it's a kind of a technique in the '80s. It's a maybe cheaper way to no one's sitting there cutting on the lathe. It's like a digital process of cutting. So that sounded horrible. And we went with true vinyl mastering with, the guys at Elysian Masters. And that was it. Then it sounded great. Next V2 test presses are the ones everyone will hear. Don,
when did this whole thing start? All right. So 2010 reunion happens. There was some good shows. I was at the This Is Hardcore show. I had a great time. I liked it because I'd only seen Ink and Dagger once ever, and I had talked to Jeff Rickley before, and I knew that he was as big of a Ink and Dagger fanatic as I was. So when I heard he was going to be the vocalist, I was like, cool. So I liked the shows. I had a great time. So that happens. That's done. When do you start thinking about doing this again? How does it start to happen?
Well, it doesn't. I mean, it's funny. We were talking about the other night after actually rehearsing in Philly. 2010 to now is a longer period of time than it was from 2010 to the time Ink and Dagger was a band.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like we're really operating in this different plane of it's a much different there was a beautiful amount of respect and it felt really nice to do that in 2010. Um but this time is more of a mentorship for everyone, a reminder.
Explain that. How so?
Well, I feel it's much more based in for instance, from the top of this whole situation, like 2 years ago or so, Evan, right where we stopped with his timeline, he wound up playing guitar in this band Girls, got really popular. For the last like 10 years or something, he's been like the lead guitarist in Sparks, and is an incredibly accomplished musician, wonderful young man. And when we've always been tight, and he started playing bass and lilies like a few years ago with us.
Ah.
And then that was like I was like, because he rips on, I was like, you can. He's like, I guess I can play bass.
This
I was
is
like, no, you
this
can.
is the most Don shit ever. He calls me. He's like, "You want to play bass in Lilies?" I'm like, "I don't play bass really. I have a bass." He's like, "No, you'll do it." And I loved playing bass.
Oh
I
man,
love
that's
playing
great.
bass in Lilies, and it really kind of like I feel like I like became a bass player in that moment, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that was 2022,
Wow.
and I went on tour with you guys, and that's where I get involved in the Ink and Dagger
Yeah, I guess so. Right?
reissue process.
Yeah.
I remember we were in the van, and it's the first tour I've done since COVID. And mind you, I was supposed to go on all these tours 2020, get postponed to 2021, everything canceled. I haven't done anything like this in a while, and it just like felt so
Yeah, that was
fun.
everybody.
Felt
Like, we all
everyone, yeah,
for those shows, the spirit in the crowd just to be there
yeah.
was so wild.
And beyond the shows, like I was really enjoying the camaraderie
Company.
of being, I was, being in the van,
Yeah.
just hanging out, shooting the shit. And so for me, this was interesting because, okay, after my drunken night of gushing about being like LA's biggest Ink and Dagger fan, I feel like we never talked about Ink and Dagger again.
I guess so. Yeah.
I feel like it was just kind of like we became friends, and it seemed, maybe from my perspective, maybe a sensitive thing to talk about. I don't know. It just didn't seem like you or people in that crew really wanted to talk about it so much. And that was just something I picked up on. And I don't remember you and I talking much about Ink and Dagger for 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, that would check out totally.
So on this tour, I remember you starting to tell these stories in the back of the van, Sean stories that were just like incredible.
Kurt's like laughing, puking out.
Everyone's cracking up, and you're just telling such great stories that I've never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the conversation, you're like, "Yo, when we're back in town, you should come over. I want to show you all the stuff I collected. I have all these photos and flyers and magazines and everything, letters, lyrics." So I don't know. A couple weeks later, I come by the store, and you have it all lit and set up and laid out.
Yeah, I had to sell that shit hard. Yeah.
And I was
so all that stuff is laid out, right? I
set it up like a mini personal art gallery. I did that. I would do that for people several times where I wanted to get involved with a project with them. Of course, I would just treat my entire studio like it was a gallery or something. Get it so you can literally get visualized and get included into this whole thing.
So that wasn't even like, oh, we're working on a book or something. This was just like personal.
In 2012 or something, when Jeff Rickley, we all had this like hustle going on with that Farmo kid. We started working on it because we were going to be able to do it properly. So there was like the film that dropped after the Billboard, the short one, like I had started working on then. And then finished it recently. So, but I mean, Evan bringing like his involvement with the band stuff will become the admiral because he's, the shit is going to be logical and right, and it's going to stress him out if it isn't. You'd probably be like that, Keith.
Yeah. See, I can see the dynamic, and I think I'm like Evan. I'm like, everything needs to be controlled and organized, and we're going to do this by this day. And Don is like the manic like creative, wild energy, and the two
Thank you,
together
Don.
create wonderful things.
Yeah, we do bounce well off each
Oh
other
man,
that way for
that's,
sure.
yeah, and without any sort of like inhibition of talking about whatever need. But Evan really came at it from a sort of like anthropological way, and which was a tie-in with trust, which was really interesting.
Yeah, so I saw this stuff and I was blown away because like you, sure, and like you, Keith, and like some people listening, and I was such a big fan. Like I had scoured the internet. I had seen every Ink and Dagger photo there was on the internet. I had read
Yeah, you know what I
interviews.
used to do? This is going to sound weird, but like you could go read all of Sean's old posts on all that music, that hardcore through Google, and I would like get high and
Just that book.
stay up all night reading that stuff just to like get some insight into who he was. I was like deep into it. So for Evan, for you to see all that stuff that Don put out must have been, I mean, that's like personal insight that no one gets.
Yes, it was so great. It was like really not a reminder to how great this band was because I didn't need someone to remind me, but a refresher, I would say, because it just got me so excited about Ink and Dagger.
What kind of stuff was in there?
Photos,
I mean, all
journals,
the normal stuff, but then like
faxes from booking agents,
Yeah.
like just like the
every show,
crazy
there's like
shit.
written directions to the next show. I mean, it's crazy. And like, or if Robbie was doing it, it'd be like little side notes in the middle of directions, like, yo, make sure you stop in fucking Raleigh, but this fucking and like lawsuits, letters, Philadelphia Society Future Vampire applicant type things.
Hmm.
So many things that aren't in a traditional like when you're looking at like band shit.
And just to give you an example, like I mean, just to sort of illustrate the quantity. I mean, the book's a 250-page book, 260-page book. I mean, we're talking, and we didn't include everything. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like there is so much stuff that Don saved and collected. So in the process of being excited of maybe this is a book, right? Like we're talking about maybe a book. I'm obviously I have all the records, but I'm driving around, I'm streaming, and I see on streaming services, all the stuff. There's like two Ink and Dagger pages, one with an ampersand, one says and it's and I'm grateful that it was up there.
It was like a community
Just like
program.
kids, like maybe it was Dave Sausage or someone, people who are friends, just like putting it up there because Initial was out of business. So the earlier stuff is nowhere on, isn't there, and the self-titled record was still up there from Buddy Head, but it's like it was just kind of messy. And Keith, you probably like me don't like things that are messy, right? Especially for a band of the music of this quality that you love should be handled in such a manner. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
And the book really helps present it, which is most important for me, was this for many years, even getting comfortable with like having the proper sort of respect paid to it. Really like it's a really deep project. You heard us go on and on about just the mastering, and which is like one of like a bazillion components, and being able to partner up, and we've been deep on this, like millions of meetings, all kinds of like selling shit on people that you know, uh, all kinds of like just really pushing in on this, and this the book is a lot of text. It's a lot. It's not like just like giant show. I wonder how many pages of text is on a thing,
A
but
lot. I mean, it's a real book too. It's not just like images with captions. There's a real. It's written by a
Professor
guy,
Bader.
Eric Bader, and I want to get into all the specifics, but you're getting ahead of me, man.
So
Go.
we're talking about the book. We're talking about everything that's in the book. We're talking about Evan. You see, like the Sean collection and the Ink and Dagger collection, everything that Don laid out. But when does it turn into like officially? Wait, Ink and Dagger's coming back. Evan, you're helping piece everything together. When does that happen?
It's not like, and there was no one involved outside of us at that point. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, we'll go work with whoever. We made like the Admiral made very organized lists of people we might be interested in doing this project with. It was kind of
Ah,
from the get.
Yeah. So, okay, I see the collection of stuff, and we talk about a book or something, and then I'm looking at everything streaming, and it's kind of a mess. And I'm like, a book is one thing, but this catalog needs to be properly reissued.
yeah. Did you ever see how like the band name is listed differently in Spotify? Like
Yeah. So
sometimes
I
it's
saw there There's one with an ampersand, one
Yeah.
said, and I was like, this is a mess. Like, it felt like it wasn't getting the respect it deserved. And like, the labels that the band was on in the past didn't exist anymore. So it just was kind of floating around there. And thankfully it was up there at all because people loved it and kept it alive. But there was no official release. There was no official streaming. Love is Dead got reissued.
Consciously let it just kind of be in the world out there. Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, I'm like, yo, this shit deserves to be properly reissued. And at this time, I'm seeing all this other music of the era getting deluxe reissue treatment from labels and all this stuff. And I was like, not only is this a perfect candidate, this is like what I've seen with the ephemera, what I know with the music, and also knowing how much the band means to people who do know, right? It might not be the biggest band, but if you're into if you're into this kind of music of that era, like, it doesn't get better than that,
Right.
So
the fan base is rabid too. My sister, I laughed at this. She tried to find original Ink and Dagger stuff to buy me online. She's like, "What's up with the fans of that band?" She's like, "They won't sell you anything. They'll like only trade for other stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, that's right."
Yeah. So around this point, I'm talking to Don about all this stuff, and you kind of gave me carte blanche. You said, "Hey, feel free to talk about this. Like, you have."
That's how it slid in. Yeah.
You have license to essentially, for lack of a better term, shop. I hate to say shop this around because
we really actually struggled for a while in a way. I was very particular about the fact that I didn't want his involvement to have any particularities attached to it.
Yeah.
It's very like, I could, his particular lane is why this could happen.
I'm not a band manager. I'm not a music industry person. I'm a
rocker.
I'm a musician, and I'm a fan
rocker.
A fanatic, and a rocker.
Thank you.
And so it was just like, I'm not in the business of reissues. I just love this music, and I wanted it to be available in what I saw to be the proper way. So we started talking to some people, and then trust comes into the picture. A friend of mine works with the Circle Jerks, and he said, "Hey,
California punk band."
Yeah, you know them.
Oh yeah.
And he said, "Hey, I'm enjoying. We're having a really good time working with Trust. They're doing great stuff for us." And I mentioned to Joe what you guys have going on, Joe Nelson of Trust Records, and I think he's interested. He'd love to hang out.
Sean's back, man.
Yeah, Sean, my friend Sean. So then we invite Joe down to the store, to Don's studio.
Probably set up a similar.
It was set up in a similar manner, gallery style, and much like myself, Joe was blown away by everything he had seen, and his attitude and excitement. Like, I don't know if the billboard came up in that first hang, but he was all in on that. It was like.
It was incredibly positive, and considering they'd only done SSD, Youth Brigade, all the seminal 79 shit, and
80s,
into it felt really nice to build sort of anthropologically lean into it.
Yeah,
being represented that way was right. Kind of what we were talking about.
Yes.
So
we've talked about the Harry Smith box set, right? The anthology of folk music, and Trust is an interesting label because it is a nonprofit, and it is set up. Their LLC, whatever, is the Folk Ways of Hardcore, right? It's it is a very they take this archival thing seriously, right? Like, viewing this kind of music as, why isn't this? This is folk music. This is music of the people, and
Library of Congress.
Yeah, Library of Congress type. I think that's down the line they want to put everything they do in the library. It's treating this music with the reverence of other art forms,
where it's often left behind, the cultural reverence compared to
Yeah, and I think that was where it was appealing to us to work with them, and with that, and with their means, they also, and I think they followed through on this. allotted us a certain amount of freedom in how we wanted to do this. You know, it wasn't like send us the file, send us the photos, and we're gonna make you a reissue. It was like,
Yeah, we had everything sorted already, if
Yeah.
not accomplished, sorted. Like how we were gonna, we didn't, but just like from the get, being organized with that to a way where it was gonna be most effective. We haven't even gotten into like anything regarding like finding the music and
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about. Like, how do you?
You're talking about months and months of chaos.
this is where I start to roll up my sleeves
Watch out,
because
Emerald is at
because I'm like,
court.
where are the fucking tapes?
Do they even exist? How do you find them?
We
Crazy.
basically got all the masters, and there are a couple people that I have to shout out.
He was relentless in this, and like
I mean, it was really fun. Like we talked about this being like an anthropological search, but also like as the inner 15-year-old kid in me, like who's so pumped on Ink and Dagger, this was like it was a lot of work, but it was so
that's
fun.
horrible, Evan.
That's what I'm thinking about. There's probably no one else I would do it for, but if I could do it for Don and Ink and Dagger, it would be the adventure of a lifetime.
That's what I'm saying. It was like it wasn't just like it was fulfilling to me as a fan,
Yeah.
And I got
all the micro relationships in every song and whoever it was attached to, and working through their shit, put into the current time and trying to figure out like what we were even doing.
totally.
Was like its own crazy world.
Yeah, and most people, I gotta say, so Andy from Initial, Andy Rich,
Amazing.
he, I was talking to him and he was like, I don't know if I have, like, I'll have to check in storage. He lives in Vegas, and I wouldn't hear from him. And I was like, man, like, this is the bulk of the material, right? Weeks go by, months go by. I don't hear from Andy.
He was playing poker in Vegas.
And I get an email from Andy one day and he's like, I found everything. He's like, I found all the Initial master tapes. So we've got what I grew up, what I thought so the LP, the Drive the 7-inch LP that is being reissued, that was like, that was never on vinyl before, but that was the CD that I had, the first CD that I had, which had the Love is Dead 7-inch, the
Right.
Drive the 7-inch, and the Crawler, the bonus song. So that, as a kid, I just thought that was an album. I didn't know it was a collection of stuff.
Same.
So he had the Love is Dead DAT. This is all DAT, right? Digital audio tape for the youngins. Pre-Pro Tools, like that was a format.
Best
in the
format
90s.
ever.
People hate it, but so he had the DAT. He had the Love is Dead DAT. He had dude, I have them here. Here's Crawler. Here's the bonus. Dude, I have the DATs right fucking here. We've got all these DATs. What's on here?
See how excited he got?
4 songs, right? So. Okay, so yeah, this says Road to Hell, Shadow Talker, Caretaker, Full Circle. Dude, I've got it all, dude. Yeah, a mixed one. Okay, so
What about all the 7-inches, the split 7-inch
hold on.
songs?
Let's not get it. Okay, so
Ampex 467 R30. By the way, hot take, Crawler.
it's
We are playing that song.
Oh, cool. Shh.
Well, no,
Okay.
playing Crawler. What's up?
Crawler's a
Keep
great
that.
song. So
I straight up stole
Yeah,
that song title for the first memory entry song, but it's a different meaning. So I followed the Ink and Dagger way of taking it and making it my own.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
and Andy also had the master for Catch the Flashback, or the mix, not the master, which
Right.
is that came out on Initial, the Les Shock split.
Totally.
And then so for the 7-inches and stuff, it was a little harder. I got to shout someone else out, Scott Richter, who was in Metro Shifter, and he did a lot of the artwork for Initial. So he had
to drive this all of the.
Brilliant. He had art files. So he sends me art files for all this stuff, and then he goes, by the way, I also have the DAT for Actress. So Actress is it's a cover.
It's a wonderful tribute album to the contemporary band of the time, Metro Shifter.
Right.
For some reason,
But it was-
a lot of people are on.
It was
fun.
I think it was stuff that he wrote but never recorded. Like it's not a cover; it's a song that he had on this album. It's a compilation album, but he had all the bands record unreleased songs he had written. I think
it was some deep shit. He also put out a record of like the different sounds of the different copy machines at Kinko's, like
Oh,
the
wow.
3940. I think that was it.
See, I always thought that was just a cover. You're telling me it's a cover of an unreleased song.
I
Didn't,
believe
like refused it.
there's a lot of bands on that, and he just sent his friends
Ours is
demos.
tripped out.
Yeah,
I put his mix back into it.
I always loved it. I think he had sent all these bands demos this is what I had read online. I should ask him about it. Sent them demos and a small recording budget, like I'm doing this album, record my song, and that's what that album, it's called Encapsulated, is. It's a so
sitting next to any rich like 5 days a week initial.
Right. So Scott was also awesome, and he was like, I'd love for this to be included. And I was like, of course, like it's a complete discography. So then all this stuff, right? So then I get all these tapes sent to me, and of course I don't have a DAT player. And I'm also like, what condition are these in, right? So this is where we go to audio archiving services in Los Angeles.
They were treated like they were old Stones DATs.
And this guy's so Dan Johnson, he owns the company. And you go, and he's awesome, and he's done a lot of stuff for Trust too. But you go over there, and it's like there's Bad Brains reels. But there's also like Chicago live album reel. Like
we were there. He was ripping that live Slayer stuff.
Well, that's a different guy.
Oh,
yeah. So
sorry, Dan.
So Dan, he does these transfers and sends them to us, and they sound fucking sick.
Ripping.
And the mastering on the Drive This, like the CD, at least that I grew up with, like it sounds cool. It's crazy. It's super fucking squash, but to hear these songs breathe like this with these beautiful transfers was incredible. We were just blown away by the low end, the clarity.
You hear the guitar.
Yeah, amazing. So then, there's other 7-inch stuff where we can't locate the master, right? Like, the split with Icarus line that was on New American Dream, which was
favorite ladder song, the soul.
Yeah, New American Dream was a label that was originally gonna put out the self-titled album.
We decided to just ruin their label.
That I don't know. Anyway, that label folded before that, but they did put out the Icarus line split 7-inch, and but this guy, I was trying to find this guy. I think his name's Dave Taba.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm doing like, what's the weird websites where you can like sleuth people out?
Google.
Those. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
I'm trying to find this guy. I can't find him. I find an email address. I email him, never hear back. I'm like, we're not getting the master for this fucking song. Terry, who recorded it, I think he didn't have it. So then I'm turned on to this guy, Mike Kriebel. No. Mike Kriebel did the tape transfers. Michael Graves. That's where we go. And his house was in Altadena, which survived the fires, and his studio was there. I don't know if he's able to go back in there. I should check in with him because it was
incredible.
This happened. Also, I can't believe we got in there weeks before the fires and got our stuff back, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get the records back. So for these tracks, he does like
every room of his house has a different the Top Dog 70s transfer of 2-inch or 1-inch.
They got Buck Owens tapes.
Format and on demand.
He'll do tape transfers, or they'll find an acetate in Africa buried under the ground, and he'll clean it up and restore it. Right.
One chance.
Yes.
One shot.
Yes. So he would take the 7-inch, import it into his rig, and restore it. So some of the stuff that we didn't find the tapes for,
that's how
Michael Graves restored it from the vinyl. And that stuff is on the 4th LP on the box set, the Experience and Sound and Energy, Nocturnal Experience and Energy.
I really like the Vampire Fast Code on that.
Yeah.
And Solo Mission.
Yeah.
And the Rev 7-inch. There's 13th Dream. I really like that remix of the
13th Dream remix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the best. Yeah.
Great 7-inch.
I always love telling everyone how satisfying it was to put a remix on Revelation Records. Prospect came up.
And that has
Sean Iyer was
the early version of Philopsychosis on that too, on that 7-inch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Quite a bit different if you were to study it. Not quite a bit, but
so yeah, okay, so that's all how the audio stuff came together, and it was miraculous. It took a while, but people showed up. And the other thing that was really cool, so in addition to all the stuff Don collected, I was I know there's people out there who have photos and ephemera.
Small collections, really.
Yeah. And I knew from lore, there's a guy, Robbie Red Cheeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Philly legend. And so Robbie was both, guys like Robbie Red Cheeks and Justin Sullivan from what was his zine? Suburban Zine.
Justin Mulder.
Justin Mulder. Sorry.
course.
I have a good friend named Justin Sullivan.
He's a little bit new.
Justin Mulder. Sorry, Justin, because I talked to him a lot too, and he's awesome.
I must say, Justin Mulder. Frail played at the church a couple months ago, like packed. I must say, man, props to Justin because I was going off, and he was the first person up against the stage the whole time taking pictures, and it was rad to party with him.
But so Justin, Robbie, Joe Burns, Dave Sausage, all these guys in Philly, they donated their collections. So we had a guy, Manny, out there. Manny
Scanning on site.
Yeah, scanning all this stuff. And these guys just showed up and let him do like high quality scans of all their stuff. So everyone was so generous with what they'd collected. And you know,
meanwhile prepping the book being written.
Manny Dominguez, sorry. Oh yeah, and so we're scanning all this stuff.
So involved. Yeah.
So involved, right? Like I'm sorry if I'm not speaking clearly. I'm just like remembering all the shit from the last 3 years that has led up to this. So this is just like archival stuff. Like we're still in the weeds on this project, and we're talking about this, like what is going to be in the book. There is a story, right? And Don goes, Eric Bader is the guy. Tell him about Eric.
Well, Eric, we knew from back in the day in Philly, has been writing since the beginning, and but more importantly was intimately involved in the sort of like Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires.
How did you know him?
Emblem of sophistication. He was just he played, what the fuck was, oh my god,
he was in a band. I don't remember the name.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But from like early on, from the beginning of like Ink Dagger playing music. In any event, through the years being into, I knew that he had like the spirit and the passion. I was basically like, yo, can you quit your job, sacrifice your family life,
but also
take a couple years and write this book?
In addition, he had a relationship with Sean where
big time.
He wrote something for Sean's zine or something.
I'm totally getting that. He wrote a beautiful thing that was going to be included in a different piece of work that got its way to me. It was really touching. It was like a few pages, really touching, and that is what really inspired it. And it was like, quit your job, get rid of your family, write the book. So.
And he did it.
Yeah, I mean, he was
family
also
gone.
He was so.
Oh no, he has a great.
He much like like Justin and Robbie. He worked. I mean, beyond just writing the text for this book. I mean, he was super involved in this whole process. He was there at the meeting in Philly on the skyscraper. Like he's been there through all this shit. And so we have him writing the stuff, and that's taking a while. But we're working with him, and then it comes down to the visual of the box set and the book. And we were
let me because it's really interesting. My great friend Jim Chapa, wonderful design student of the world. I've done like decades of stuff with, or last decade, wasn't available to work on this entire project, and so Frail had this like numero group release, right? And there's old flyers and whatnot in the booklet, and on one of them, if you look at the bottom, it's like my address from where I grew up in Philly, and it's like this address, and I get this,
like the send letters to.
Yeah, totally. And I get this like DM from this dude, that's like, yo, is that like this, and the guy's like currently like lives right across the street. He's just looking at it, and it was who I'd actually known years ago, but Jeremy Dean, who did like that sick, You'll Know the Wonders of Black Flag through Greg Ginn t-shirt.
Jeremy is an incredible designer, and he was around back in the day. He did a lot of he was from Philly, and he did like the Kid Dynamite artwork. He did a lot of stuff. J-Tree. He was like the in-house guy at J-Tree, and has since now he does stuff, Dead and Company, John Mayer, all this stuff. And so
like, do you want the biggest job ever? That's gonna be so insane. So it includes that fucking giant billboard. He's like,
yeah. So basically, Jim, who's a friend of ours, Jim did all the like West Coast scans of the ephemera we had. He just had a kid, and it was like this project. He couldn't do the project anymore. So we're thinking about people, and the funny thing about Jeremy is one of the first ideas I had for the book was, I don't know if you've seen the Misfits Scream With Me book.
No.
It's a beautiful book. I didn't know Jeremy did it, but I was like, man, that book. It looks at Misfits and Misfits ephemera, and it treats it like fine art almost, you know. And I was like, something like this, right? Like this is the like, not like it should look like this, but this sort of care and everything. And so we're looking for an artist, and somebody recommends Jeremy, and I'm aware of his work. So I get on the call with him, and first of all, first time we talk, we're on the phone for 2 hours. It's just like we're connecting. He tells me that he lives on the street near where Don grew up. He's telling me stories from back in the day, meeting you at some record store in Philly in the 90s, like all this shit. And then he goes, oh, well, I was like, have you ever done anything like this? He's like, well, I've done box sets for X, Y, and Z. He's like, and I did the Misfits Scream With Me book. And I was like, oh, you did that. Like, that was like kind of like inspired me in the beginning. So working with Jeremy has been incredible. You'll see. I mean,
truly.
Yeah, he's incredible talent and a wonderful guy. And it's been, great working with him.
And there's something to be said for a project like this, the way in which you can work with someone.
Yes.
The way the feedback loop works, the way the back and forth, the way that you get there. Like my 3 a.m. shot of a future bet, making it into,
and then it's a t-shirt, like he's just down for the process,
and incredibly talented.
Yeah, it's incredibly talented. And like oftentimes he would nail the idea first time. And if he didn't, never any sort of like
oh man, it's such
complaint.
a pleasure.
And then but the next thing is incredible, like beyond our wildest. Yeah. So we've connected with so many great people working on this thing, and it's been a lot of hard work, but it hasn't been hard to get people involved. You know what I'm saying? Like most people we reach out to are down because
it's only so positive and it's only so great, Yeah,
because this is like it's like a once in a lifetime thing, because like you mentioned earlier, Evan, the labels were gone. All the Ink and Dagger stuff was gone. The only way to get it was to find it on eBay and track it all down and do all that yourself. There hasn't been like a proper full. I know Robbie did some stuff. He, like he made a box set and he did a hoodie at one point and the shirt, but this is like a full scale major redesign of everything. So, and it just sounds like, I don't know. It sounds, I like the way like everybody came together and everybody offered up stuff they have. And because now everybody can have access to it. Like now everybody can take part in it. And people will get to see a lot of the stuff, Don, that you had showed people previous. I imagine a lot of that stuff is in the book.
Oh man, it's voluptuous.
Yeah.
When you were talking earlier about the last album, which I love, and it's like I think Aaron North gave me a burned CD before, but like when Buddy Head was gonna take it on, before like after stuff label, and I remember putting it on and like I was probably 15 because it came out in 2000, and like first listen, I was just like, what is this? Like did not make sense to my brain at that point, and it quickly became, just as beloved to me as the rest of the albums, the rest of the catalog, and the whole thing of the Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires. To me, it feels so true, because here we are 25 years later, and I see the like when the billboard went up and the reaction from people and either friends in the community or just fans like me or people who weren't involved, where the recordings really like grabbed a hold of them. Maybe it really was something for the future, because it feels like now the understanding is greater than I remember it back then.
That's interesting because yeah, I was like, I want to go down there specifically to see the billboard, and I thought that was crazy. But Don, Evan, I've seen so many people say, "Oh, I made a pilgrimage to see the billboard. I took a picture in front of the billboard." It's like a thing.
I couldn't be more like, that's the exact ideal thing I was hoping for.
Yeah.
No, I heard someone else say this, but like really feeling like it's so nice that there's been a real lack of any kind of cynicism.
Yeah.
Like, people are just like, come on, are you down? Because we're going to fuck it up. Let's go.
Yeah.
And, the billboard not only referencing, like you had to know for the first 3 days. Stereo Gum was like, they're putting out a new record called Devil Children Night or something. Or like Philadelphia Society. You're like, I literally, but when I was planning this, I was like, somebody's going to think it's our new record. That's exactly what I want. Just like whatever. And you know, the sort of rollout of that for everything was also like, you know, this total like love letter back to Philly again, and like a little reminder. And it's like, yo, we're sorry we took it over. It's just like been a minute. We'll see you in a second.
I love that. I love that. How has it changed, Don? I'm wondering, like, all right, hear me out. In the early days, all right, when I first got obsessed with this band, I heard it when I was 17. I really got hooked by the time I was 20. And back then I was like, oh, I want to be sensational. I want to piss people off. I want to get high all the time. I want to like be a menace. I want attention, all that stuff. And Ink and Dagger, the feeling and the attitude was kind of the soundtrack to that. Maybe that wasn't even what it was actually about, but I put those two things together. Don, how would you give us the actual message back in the day and how you're different now? And like tie yourself in there too, because I'm curious
Same
about
exact
like
message
you
then.
back in those days versus like you now.
Literally the same exact message. It's
Yeah.
self-realization. It's pushing yourself. Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires are like a self-realized. It's always been, you know, with our sort of like OG, like mess up the status norm with like our sort of theatrics and like pushing the what was seen as like mannerly within our world. Um, it was always came down to just self-realization because like once you're going there, all these other things will follow, and you need a certain like uh, you know, it's good to have momentum from things outside of you pushing you that way, and it's okay to accept it. And that's what the way we always saw that the whole vampire metaphor is like literally a self-realization, like like you know sucking the blood or whatever is like taking the power you need in order to be what you need to be, sort of thing. So it's I've only gotten better at it, I hope, and it's still the same exact thing. Fuck nostalgia, like Eric likes to say from Frail. It's just living right now.
I like that. Yeah, because you told me when I saw you at the last Frail show, and for some reason in my head, I still thought like you have to be initiated into the Philadelphia
No,
Society of Future
which is
Vampires,
cool
and
as hell, because
you're like,
people would
no,
write us so many. Excuse me. People would write us letters as sort of like applications, that were wonderful to get all the time. I remember just we had a PO box in Chestnut Street. Sean and I would over it. It would always be whacked out and sick. But really, that's the funny part. It's like saying like Antifa has like a or organized place to get money. You know, like it's like literally the whole thing is self-realization. You're self-described. When you get there, you won't even know you got there. You know what I mean? Like, so, but that's cool too. I think I've said before, like anyone who thought we were really like ghouls of the night or something, didn't even like get like were we gonna be like, no, we don't think that. We just let them think it because it's ridiculous. Most reasonable people were like, so, but what's up with this thing you're doing? You know what I mean? Like, but that was fine. It was fun.
yeah, you said, you decide when you're a member. I like that because they say that in recovery too. They're like, you're a member when you say you are, and I'm like, yeah, I like that.
Tell you anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least like not do this. Self-realization is when you can actually enter, and like that was born out of like Sean being with Frail all the time at the end, and before we started Ink and Dagger, and like it's really this. I see Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires as the modern PMA, positive mental outlook. That's cool and all, but let's also realize ourselves within that.
Yeah. Don, when you were on the show last time, you talked about the last days of Sean and how he was getting involved in areas that were not good for him and your protest to that in various ways. Did you have any conversations with him about like what he wanted to do or aspirations or maybe anywhere he was headed? Did you have any conversations like that or was it just like this thing?
Yeah, I it's there was never like a lack of what I thought, if Sean didn't pass away, would we keep doing stuff like without question, I'm sure. Because we were, you travel all over the world together, you get involved in all these things, and like then you get in Philly and you get home and everyone's like doing their thing for a while and things are happening, but like it never like uh was lessened by the situational type things and how I was feeling in the moment. If anything, it was strengthened. But the same guy that would like give away his equipment at the last show was like also like, I'm gonna move to Sweden. stop doing drugs. Well, like, but Sean, he was such a spectacle and like incredible, and you know, everyone that he touched, like, it's hard not to, like, you know, it's such a presence, and it's such a fortunate, lucky thing to even, you know, and you know, that's all. Yeah, that's about that. Yeah.
I guess there was no shot of a traditional lifestyle for him, huh?
Well, he was gonna be pushing like some crazy envelope no matter what it was, and he was brilliant and really, and that's what would like invigorate, you know, him. Um, we've all been through phases and go through things and this and that, and sometimes just like the math of it, I don't know. But you know, it was I would, you know, I would never think of it as you know, it was fucking heartbreaking, and every day it still is, and you know, that's why like these shows coming up, for instance, I'm just gonna fucking literally bring it, and it's you know, if I don't break a bone or something, like it's gonna be a miracle. So stay away.
When did the idea of the shows come into play?
Well, it I mean, we described some of the sort of prep work for the whole project to a very minimal degree. And as the 1 year was turning into like over a year, and you know, you have so many components and so many things coming together, and a certain beautiful like realization that there was no one involved practically from up that we contacted on any level that wasn't like not only helpful but like spirited and ready and like was like, thank God, like let's get it. And this real momentum of like a snowball effect as we got closer to the launch had a lot of people like downright giddy. And you know, and it's cool to do like a old school like, I just knew I didn't want to like launch it on the internet at all. No internet, like a physical, like a billboard it has no business being at. It's like literally like Jacoby and Myers, Phillies, and then boom, you know. And it doesn't even say Ink Dagger, you know. But everyone who knows, and that was like 3 days for the city and shit, just to kind of like percolate. And it's a really cool thing just to hang out with too. I went a couple times when I was there last week. It's fascinating turn of events. If you were to think like running around the streets whenever that, like, you know, you see Sean like representing with like the skyline behind him within this thing that we had created being fully realized. Yeah, and there's more things going on. Sorry, I got nixed by the Admiral.
Yeah, there's more things going on, but we cannot talk about it yet. So you mean to tell me there's even more things going on beyond everything else that
like,
we know?
the big thing wasn't even like no one even knows about the biggest thing yet.
Really?
Including you. Keith was privy a little bit because he was so excited, and I got to thank you for keeping your mouth shut so well.
Yeah, I did
Hard
not
thing to
tell
do for some
anyone.
people.
Well, all right, I told a couple people, but it was people I knew wouldn't say anything.
Sure.
Or like people who don't really know the whole deal, so that
Yeah,
I knew
yeah,
they
I
would,
get
you
it.
know what I mean? But like people who I knew would say something, I did not tell them.
There's many accounts of people that knew that were so good, like they got really into the secret.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And there was times where I really wanted to say something, and I'm like, you know what? I can't do it. I can't betray the order. So, the billboard, Don. Can you talk about how that idea came to you?
Well, I've said before, like, yes, it was in a dream, and I was like, you know, sometimes you can have a dream, and in that dream could be like your friends or something, or people that would like, even within the dream, you'll sort of think in a way you would if you were with that person in real life. So I'm not saying like Sean like told me in a dream. I'm just saying like it was a kind of a spirited dream with that in mind, where I knew I wanted to do like some sort of physical media, stir up the pot, punk the internet one last time. But I always knew it like had to be this ridiculous. We had no business being there, like billboard, where it's usually just like whatever that like Aetna Insurance or something. And Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires, and this sort of statement just to create this huge energy and keep it quiet for a couple of days before we said anything, not a word online, nothing online. And then it would pop, and I had the short film that was linked and all of the things with the label. And by the way, we're playing 3 shows in 2 weeks. You know, just keep, and we're still popping.
You must be very happy with how quickly those shows sold out. Even I almost didn't get tickets for the Painted Black show, but I refreshed for 10 minutes
I definitely
to get
would.
one ticket.
You would never get on that list.
Well, I don't like to presume, so I bought
I'm
tickets
serious,
as a
you would.
backup.
Yeah, I mean it's so wonderful, and everyone involved. But like, it's gonna be a wonderful, like, a couple of minutes. That's what I was hoping for. It's wonderful. It's gonna be so much fun, incredible, and you know, we've already been working. Everyone that's involved with Ink and Dagger has already been months and months deep into the work of preparing for this show. So we're just now starting to really get like the energy and the fire brewing and get ready for it. And there's going to be some novel things at the church that people have been there before will have not seen before.
Hmm. Has there been any revelations about who's involved in terms of musicians or vocalists or anything like that?
Not that I heard about.
Okay.
Hear anything?
It
I have no idea.
Yeah, me either.
is that information going to be withheld until the actual shows?
I don't know. We'll have to ask them. Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Don, you mentioned last time that you would be very intense at Ink and Dagger practices. Like if someone messed up one note, you might kick them in the ribs and
Well,
they would be
if
held
they
for detention afterwards.
really fucked up the part, I mean,
Would you really do stuff like that?
Josh has been the recipient of some like over the top things. I mean, it's one thing if you're playing, like I want to beat up everybody in this weird way.
Are you like perfect and you
It was
never mess
egregious.
up?
I mean, I'd like to think I'm more aggressive than I probably even am. It's happened a couple of times, but the truth is, Josh, so many people that have been in, there's a lot going on. And then you start like wilding out in these like high end bassy reverb parts that need to pop. Like I don't know, get really into particulars, but that's what makes it heavy. You know what I mean? Especially when it doesn't really feel like it. So yeah, I have felt pure rage from my soul when someone's missed a note, and it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but yes, it's true.
Would you kick anybody in the ribs now if they messed up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
I
holding on
wouldn't
to
want
the
to
same
hurt them,
intensity.
but I would want them to know that I would kick them in the ribs for that. And if I did something egregious, I'd be looking out.
What's the lead up like for rehearsing for these shows? Are we talking like how much work do we have to do? How much do you have to
But
remember?
it's like a really healthy list of songs. And it's there's already been rehearsals like in LA for just the guitars and bass for several days. There's been full band jams in Philly already, and a bunch more coming up.
Wow.
We're gonna be ready. Everyone's independent study is like excellent and like really on fire. I call it training, but getting ready to spit these out is like this whole other thing. Getting the flow of it. It's a lot of sort of talking with each other about how to approach certain things. There's lots of versions and lots of the sort of like flow. It's like I'm always saying it's one thing to play, to play parts, but like it's different when you're just playing a song and something snaps away. You're just like the flow is there. You're not like, oh man, I'm learning like a grip of music right now. Trying to get and just spending time together and getting the flow going. The other people around are incredibly talented, and it's not like has nothing to do with playing the parts. It has to do with like starting there and then getting this flow going because that's where it can really actually get heavy.
Yeah, Don, it seems like when we get involved with things involving you, it's not just simply playing the parts or it's not just simply learning the song. It seems like there's a whole mindset to it. Is that accurate?
I hope so, and that would be wonderful when you can. But like, it's definitely a real thing. It's why live, and there's certain techniques to get there for certain, outfits or whatever. Yeah, the more like synced up, the more it's kind of like how like Fugazi would never have a set list, and like you would think they were like mentally talking to each other in and out. You know, it's just a beautiful thing to go there. But when you have players that are so talented, I don't want to just play I don't want to just play the songs. I'm gonna get this flow going with everyone. It really requires being dialed in.
Yeah.
And and I think it's a result of literally just spending the time together.
Yeah, like I imagine, okay, I don't know if you can tell me any of this, but I imagine like a lot of long, intense jam session type stuff because Don, you mentioned that when Frail was getting back together, you like rewrote your parts, and it sounds like to a
So
degree you
cool.
are doing something brand new with the material. I could imagine this with Ink and Dagger, like a flow state, like a jam thing. Not that it's going to become a jam band or something, but it's not just
Yeah.
going to be the songs as it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, not as much with Ink and Dagger stuff, but still totally. Like as far as the flow, I mean, even so much of it is like super, like sort of, um, breathy, spacey, atmospheric, psychedelic wash type stuff. And it's really like how you come out of that shit to get heavy, or how you're going into it. Like, who cares what's happening in the middle of it? That's for like other, and all sort of techniques like that really you just have to like be in tune with each other, and that requires like being in each other's shit and like really give it's how many bands do you watch where like they're playing up there and not like one person looks at each other once ever, like even once. um and it's not like actually looking at each other, but just being tied into that. You can tell there's a switch when something goes from like playing parts to like the flow state of being able to open up. Because I also want everyone to like express themselves as much as possible in their current state within the sort of like respectful confines of the historical monument of the song, except for me.
Pretty cool that the shows and everything sold out so quickly, and we don't even know exactly what's going on, right? I don't think a lot of bands could pull that off.
Well, thanks. The amount of support and like, and we had to talk people into shit this whole time. So many other things, just so many sub factors and microcosms of worlds we're dealing with underneath to to make sure everyone felt a part of the sort of shared experience we're trying to provide.
Yeah.
Um, it's I'm starting to get to that point where I'm really excited and I'm literally fuck that place up and I can't wait.
Evan, this must be very exciting for you, right? You've probably had more insight into this than anybody else, except the band.
Maybe more than me even.
It's I've worked on this in some capacity. Basically, I've done something probably at least every once a day for the last 3 years
No exaggeration.
in regard to this. If it's as little as an email or a text or like an all-day slog tracking down a tape. So, for it to for us to be upon the release day and the shows and to see the response, it's awesome. But it's also very I knew this energy and excitement was out there because I felt it, and to have it confirmed is really great.
Yeah, because I thought it was done. Like I thought we got the 2010 reunion, and then that was going to be it forever. So the fact that this has come up again is just it's just something I never even anticipated. How does it feel, Don? It just feels like things lined up and now it's time. How does it feel for you?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting too if you just chronologically of my life, like doing all the Frail stuff the last couple years, and like this would be time for Ink Dagger. If you just took a chunk out of my life and moved it, it'd be time to start Ink and Dagger again, kind of. Right on cue, and I'm just really excited. Like I love those songs. They like I play them a particular way no one else can. So do the people involved in the band.
I just want to say songs. Like we haven't talked about songs, but like you guys had great songs. And Sean was a great songwriter, lyricist. I mean, you look at the trajectory in just 4 years, first of all, how much sonic range there was, but just like the songs on the first two 7 inches are so succinct and well written. I don't know what Sean's. I actually had a question for you. Like, did he have any sort of musical training or anything? Because
I don't.
it's
I don't believe so.
in like, of course, like the last album is like very far out, both musically and lyrically. It's like very psychedelic, but the early stuff, it's like very traditional songwriting. It's like razor tight, and the melodies are so. Even though it's like it's like challenging music, the melodies it's very pop song oriented. And I was
Totally.
curious if he had any sort of
like
Frank, like
sarcasm would really come out.
yeah,
No, but he
a huge fan and a student of music and
big and like a literal like weird genius.
right,
Where
yeah,
so many things attached to him where he shouldn't have been able to, or like how did you do that with like, in so many facets? But also having such like a plate, like knowing from the get it was going to be like, yo, this is like, we're like basically the Misfits. What's up? We're Dead Kennedys.
Yeah. Fuck, man. It's wild to like be listening to this shit as a 40-year-old right now. And I've listened to it like you in these reissues, checking all the masters, listening over and over and over again. First of all, it's like made me even a bigger fan, I think, like to revisit as an adult with all the experience of my own musicianship and et cetera, and what I've been you listen, there's a lot of stuff that I listened to around that same time at 14, that I would not be bumping today, but I bumped that shit hard.
So,
And appreciating, like, we talk about all this, we talk about energy, we talk about intensity, we talk about the visual, we talk about all this, but like the other day it dawned on me, like these are songs. These are great songs.
Mm.
Yeah.
The accent that and the accent or the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the touch that Sean puts on the vocals, like the way he sings them. I've only ever heard him do that. It's like so uniquely him. I've never heard anything
sort
else
of
close
nails
to it.
the atonal thing right into the soft spot of, somebody. It's like a fine line. If it was over a little bit, it might be really horrible. But he could just nail it right in there. And there's a sarcasm and sort of proven tone of his that he's the confidence that would come out, and they're always saying something, and the lyrics have like a trajectory. It's like you're getting to that part where then you're knocking on the window,
Yeah.
or it's they're going somewhere, in more of like a poetic way than like verse, chorus, but it's more like you get that to the end. It's like boom,
I think there's, there are song
pacing, timing.
Is there any Jane's Addiction influence? That's one thing where I'm like, I could hear it.
Negative.
No. Okay. That's the one vocalist where I'm like, I could hear it. I wonder if he liked them at all. I always wondered.
More like Egg Hunt than Jane's Addiction. But Sean really loved like Embrace, a lot. Like same DC shit we did. And he often sounded a lot like Ian MacKaye to me. I mean, in the delivery and the
Oh, you know what? Now that you say that, I can hear it. I would have never made that
I
connection.
always kind of
I hear that too.
That's why he can get away with it. And it was like Bobby Gillespie or someone was talking about like timing. Like you don't need, if you have like really great timing, your voice is not nearly as important on occasion to like get music across. If you have like look like Marquis Smith or something, he's like but you're like always.
Yeah, because the way he fits the lyrics in and like the little accents he puts on the end of certain words, I'm like, it's just so him. I steal some of those sometimes.
Hooks, like you're writing pop music or something, like the like literal hooks,
Absolutely.
How about like having like a love song with Lady Love?
Lady Love on that in that first collection's crazy.
I still quote that one. I've slid that on a few mixed CDs over the years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Coming in from the side, Keith.
Evan, how long have you played with Sparks?
Since 2017. I think I met them and jammed with them in 2016, and my first show with them was 2017.
Are you in the movie?
I am in the movie briefly, yes.
Okay, because I saw that movie whenever it came out, and I knew nothing about the band.
The doc or Annette.
The documentary.
Okay, yeah, I'm in that too briefly, but yeah, there's also their musical film Annette.
Okay, that I have not seen. So
that's a wild film.
That shows out the lunch in the cool way.
Well, all right. What is there anything we haven't talked about that we want to get out to the people? Any messaging?
Well, I do want to thank you for your continued support through all of this and being so kind and all the time. I do appreciate it so much. And publicly stating Evan's importance and like how involved this has been, and we've really come through it. And, is like, I've been telling him the whole time, I was like, dude, without you, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. And it's so true, but done so well too. Like he's going easy on these stories about how difficult some of this getting this go. Like, but we went crazy together and like wound up with this beautiful thing, that's properly representing, this time and place finally, so yeah, it feels great. my head is already like fully in this kind of like show zone where it's hard to express much through that because I'm just like building into it where I'm just gonna bring it. What did I say?
I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, that
Alright.
that all makes sense because, like I mentioned earlier, Don, you seem like the whirlwind, crazy creative energy, and we need someone like Evan to rein it in and track down DAT tapes and compile
Creative as
information
well.
and all that
That's
kind of
what's
stuff.
great about it. It's not just like, I can fuss with administrative type stuff if I have to, but I'm not like an expert at it. But he's also like this incredible musician.
Yes.
We play music together. There's all these other ways that really made this a thing.
Thank you. I mean, this is a special project for me. Like I said, I'm not a label guy. I'm not a reissue guy.
He's a rocker.
But this is a band that meant a lot to me in my formative years where I'm trying to figure out the world. I'm trying to figure out my place as a musician, because I grew up in LA, dude, and music in LA, you have a lot of great stuff, but you have all the entertainment industry side of it. And a lot of people, oh, you're a kid, you want to play music, like you got to do it like this. You got to play here. You got to you got to sound like this. You want to be successful, whatever. And discovering punk and hardcore was a revelation to me. And then a band like Ink and Dagger that even destroyed that. Ink and Dagger even took that down. And hearing the stuff from the other coast, it had, and especially Sean's lyrics, and we talk about the Philadelphia Society of Future Vampires and this self-realization. It was one of these bands, along with Fugazi, Drive Like Jehu, whatever, these bands that hit me at that age that like just showed me you can do it your own way. You can pursue and be yourself. And so it was easy to not have to put up with what I'm seeing in my own backyard. And granted, also in the late 90s, early 2000s, LA is very different now. There's a lot more cool people, cool things happening. It's kind of a wasteland. It's kind of a wasteland then for like
everybody hates it.
underground music and shit. So sorry to gush, but this band is very important to me. And so to be involved in and because I was hearing it on the record, I wasn't in Philly, I wasn't part of your scene.
Mm.
I knew how important the records could be. So to contribute, to have any sort of hand in getting this music back to people who could hopefully have the same sort of experience and inspiration to live a life to what feels true to yourself is what it's all
incredible.
about.
He's paying me to do this.
You paid him.
He's paying me to do
No.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like, yeah, and it's not done. There's plenty of weird shit coming.
I'm excited that there apparently is going to be more stuff that even I don't know about. Because Don, I've been talking to you here and there about stuff, for the last, I don't know, 8 months or whenever we first met and talked.
Really
And just to have that level of insight is great.
Thank you.
Yes, but Evan, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's a lesson that I've tried to remember time and time again. Because Don, I listened back to our previous conversation in anticipation of this. And you said, yeah, we would want to play with bands like Dead Guy and Botch, but even them, like, we still did our own thing. Like, they're cool, but we still do our own thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way. Like, because sometimes I get called, should we be doing this? Should we be doing that? But you have to live by only your own rules.
Self-realization. It's like not even we were able to like simmer it, concentrate it down to self-realization, and a lot of crap comes in through that. But come on, we're not like, let's have a focus. And
Yes.
And it was always through those sort of metaphors. And I still believe every second of it. We could start a cult, like a side, like Scientology style or something. In the sense that it's just like a formula, a real basic one, positive. Except
once you achieve true self-actualization or self-realization, you're unstoppable because nothing else is going to slow you down anymore.
Yeah. And then you realize that you never will, and you're going to be like on the healthy plight to always pushing it.
Yes,
that momentum keeps you there. You don't get there and sit, Keith.
This is the time, Don.
I know.
Like you told me, this is the time.
It is. I told you that a while ago. I really like on your shows when you go deep on the mental health of people, because I think it's, even though it's like a big deal, people talk about, it's the biggest deal, and it's what runs all of our lives one way or another, and still under talked about in a way,
It is
because it's boring to talk about. in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he wants to hear about you were fucked up and now I'm trying not to be. And
There's a fine line. Like in early episodes of the show, I could see that I was like jamming it into conversations too much. So I tend to only bring it up now if it naturally comes up. But
Yeah.
I like it to be in a productive way, because if I sit here and say like, "Oh yeah, I used to do all these drugs and it was crazy and now I don't," I don't know. If it's not in the right context, it could be boring. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up with memory entries?
We're playing Monday
Oh,
at the wood shop, and then that's going to be it for shows because we're writing the record and finishing it up.
oh, awesome. You can full length.
Yeah, full length, debut full length.
That'd be Iodine recordings.
Yes, it'll be Iodine and Mind Over Matter, a dual release.
How is Hundreds of AU Gold?
Oh my, have you heard that record?
Asking you about it.
Dude, it's one of the best, not only one of my favorite records of the year, but probably my favorite production I've heard yet this year.
Really? Who recorded it? You know?
Somewhere in Jersey, I can't remember the name, but I'm gonna show them that record and say like, this is what I want to sound like. It's just clean, loud. You can hear everything. You definitely check it out.
Well, so
Yeah, it's awesome.
any other recommendations?
Yeah. Hold on. All right, everybody, this is what you want to be listening to. Hold on.
You ever have sound effects on the show? Like a little delay or like
Uh,
a horn or something?
I used to do some of that in the old days, but
You don't do it in real time, don't do it though.
yeah. All right, here I don't want to give away all my best records of the year because I do a show at the end of the year, but Pygmy Lush Totem, have you guys heard that one?
Nope.
Nope.
No. All right, listen to that, and I'll give you one more. Burial Waves Washed Clean. It just came out this past Friday. That's the singer of Pianos Become the Teeth.
Oh, is that right? What label was that on?
Dark Operative, I think. They put out all the This Will Destroy You stuff now.
You break the rules and give us one more.
All right, one more.
Thank you.
Here we go. Oh, Slow Crush, Thirst.
Okay.
If you're into heavy shoegaze.
I was gonna say, right.
Yeah, those are three good ones.
Someone accused Frail of being scram gaze.
What is that?
It's new, dude. It's the new show.
So what could Frail be considered jelly beans now?
No. Jelly beans have to be between 12 and 25
Okay.
specifically.
What if Frail started tuning down to like B?
Then we wouldn't be heavy anymore.
So that's it. Hey guys, I will see you in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
We'll see you there.
Are you, yeah. Oh, yes. We sure will, and we'll talk about that at later.